10 American stereotypes I believe before visiting, and this is from a European's perspective. Really excited to get into this and see what we got here. Before we do, appreciate if you guys can subscribe button. Let's check out these stereotypes.
I'm French, and like many Europeans, I had a bunch of preconceived ideas about the US before I actually visited, and
Oh, yeah,
I have
for
to
sure.
admit that some were totally ridiculous, but some others
Okay.
actually turned out to be true. So let's explore that together, starting with the first stereotype
Right.
I had, which is that Americans are very patriotic.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, as a European, when I first arrived, I was so surprised by how many American flags there were in the streets.
It's
like,
cool.
It's not really a thing in France. Like, people don't fly French flags in their front lawn. It's seen as being a bit weird. But on my side,
Yeah.
as someone
See, the UK is the same with France like that. Like, we just don't really, you know, show our flag that much or wave it or pull it anywhere. You guys was even showing me clips of like the horrible things that's happening right now in California with the fires. You guys are showing me that like people are actually, there was clips of people running in the fire to grab the American flag. Like, that's how much it means to them, right? Which is beautiful. But in the UK and the other countries in Europe, that would not happen. Like, they wouldn't even think about, to be fair, they wouldn't even have the flag to save.
One who loves cultures, I'm really into it. You know, I really like the 4th
is
of
cool.
July decor, especially in the suburbs of Chicago where my boyfriend is from. It is so cool and really gets me in a patriotic mood, even though I'm not from the US.
Oh, do you know what would get me in a patriotic mood? These burgers right here. These burgers right here. Yeah. Hey, put all the flags in them you want.
But it's not only that. Like, people really take the national anthem very seriously, like
Oh, yeah.
standing up at sports events.
Right.
And Bobby told me that growing up, he had to say the Pledge of Allegiance every single day at
Oh,
school.
yeah,
So it
that blew my
definitely feels
mind.
overall like a more patriotic experience than what I've lived personally. But I just
Right.
want to say that it's also very polarized. Like, Americans themselves have very strong opinions about their country. And I've
Yep.
met a lot of people who are very apologetic for being American. And this is maybe linked to the other stereotypes we're going to talk about in a bit. But I feel it's such a shame that these people feel the need to do that, because I feel the US is a really great place to be from. And, you know, obviously, like in every country, there are good things and bad things. But in my personal
sure.
opinion, and I've lived and worked in the US, I've been to 15 states, but I've also lived in 8 different countries. I can say that the US is a really great place to be from. But
Is it the best? Because that's what we need to know. Is it the best? You lived in 8 different ones. You're perfect for this.
another funny side of this stereotype is sometimes some people have a tendency to see the US as the center of the world. Like, for
Right.
example, you know, thinking you can pay in dollars in Paris. And obviously, do not do that. If someone accepts your dollars in Paris, they don't have good intentions. And
Wait. Do people actually think their currency works in other countries? That's like me going to America thinking I could pay in pounds, Great British pounds. That's just common knowledge, common sense to know when you go to a country, you're gonna need their currency.
you're probably being overcharged. And in general, you should always read up about a country before visiting. Things are
Right,
going to be
that's
very
true.
different from where you're from.
That's
and
true.
obviously, not everyone is like that. If you're on this channel, you're probably really interested in cultures and you're trying your best to adapt, as I can see with all the really cool comments you're leaving on my videos.
Right.
But this leads me to my second stereotype, which is Americans are supposedly bad at geography. By now, we've all
Okay, here we go. I'm seeing the comments already. And listen, you guys literally teach me about geography and history. You guys really get on my ass about history. Like, you really do. I've seen it all, bro. Do my school not teach history? Yeah, I must have been asleep in class. I don't know, bro. I don't know. But you guys, yeah, I don't know where this stereotype came from. I think it's because, like, a lot of Americans, like, don't have passports or haven't been out of America. So a lot of people think that Americans don't know geography, and history for that matter. But, like, yeah, you do. It's like, I think the problem is people don't realize you get dumb people everywhere. So, like, yeah, you see, like, the dumb American clips online. And then you just automatically assume, like, oh, that's all Americans. No, like, America's a big place. There's a lot of dumb people everywhere. There's a lot of dumb people in the UK. A lot.
I've seen these YouTube videos of people asking Americans
Right.
to name a country, any country, just
Yeah,
name a
I've seen
country.
loads of
and
these.
Obviously, these videos play into the stereotypes. They're also cherry-picked. And I'm sure that if you shove the camera...
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you've not seen those videos, first of all, they're funny. Like, they're entertaining, don't get me wrong. But they definitely cut out the ones that get it, you know, correct. Because, like, The whole video is just like, if somebody watches that, you would just think, yeah, they don't know geography at all.
Around my face and yelled at me, I will forget all the countries. But since it's a light video and it's about my personal opinion on these stereotypes, I have to tell you about something weird that keeps happening to me in the US.
Okay.
And you know, maybe you have an opinion on that. So I'm from France and I grew up right there. And my dad is from Spain, the country in Europe that's right there. And you know, sometimes this comes up in conversations, like for example, if we're talking about our origins with people. And in the US, for whatever reason, people misunderstand or don't remember correctly and think I'm from Mexico. And you know, I love Mexico. I think it's a good country. I spent a lot of time there during my travels.
Wait, what do you mean they think you're from Mexico? So you say that you're from France and Spain, and then they go, oh, you're from Mexico. Huh?
Actually lived there for 6 months, but I am not from Mexico. I'm literally from the other side of the pond. Like, it's a 10-hour flight to go from Paris to Mexico. And
wait, I'm confused. Why do they think you're from Mexico?
To a very awkward situation, especially at work, with people going out of their way to be nice and introducing me as Mexican to actual Mexican people who are like, oh cool, which part of Mexico are you from? And I'm like, France. And you know, the people who forget where I'm from are very educated, they're trying to be nice, and I've never understood why this happens so often and why it's always Mexico and not, for example, Canada, where they also speak French. But I feel at this point it's not even a question of geography, but more of listening when people tell you where they're from.
Wait. That's interesting though, because like, if they're asking her where she's from, and she's saying France, why would they then introduce her as Mexican? Or they just assuming by her accent, but she's got a French accent.
And also, I do feel that it's normal that some Americans don't know about every single European country. Like,
obviously.
the US is such a big country. There are many states already to remember. So I don't expect...
Listen, there's so many Europeans that don't know every single European country. I'm telling you right now, you get a European, to be fair, if you ask me, you think I'll be able to name every single one?
people to know about the exact place I'm from, because I personally don't know every single place in the US either.
Right.
Also in Europe, where countries are very tiny and close to each other, like France is roughly the
yeah, like put it this way.
Either. Also in Europe,
put it this way, Europe is like the size of America, right? Obviously, I know Portugal, Spain, France, Belgium, Amsterdam, Germany. What's Bonn? Oh, is that the capital? I don't even know what country that is. Okay, now, bro, I'm seeing the capital cities here and I'm struggling. Obviously, Italy and stuff. Then when we're going around this part, yeah, I know Czech somewhere. There's Slovakia somewhere there, but Poland, obviously, yeah. But yeah. Honestly, Europeans will struggle naming all of them. I'm telling you right now.
Where countries are very tiny and close to each other, like France is roughly the size of Texas. But there's also, for example, Monaco, which is the size of Central Park in New York.
Oh yeah, forgot about Monaco.
You know, Europeans also generalize the US too. Like one of my...
Wait. Monaco is the size of Central Park? Like, I knew Monaco was small, but... It's the size of Central Park? Central Park's bigger than I thought. Because Monaco's small, but like, it's still like decent size, right? You'd think I would have thought it's bigger than Central Park.
Central Park in New York. And you know, Europeans also generalize the US too. Like one of my European pet peeves is when people have very strong opinions about the US for no reason, even though they've never been there. And you know, this is because US politics are very discussed by international media. Also, American movies and American companies are everywhere, but they are not representative of the American culture as a whole. Like, you know, you can't have an educated point of view about the whole American culture just by watching Home Alone, for example. And
to be fair, well, me specifically, like people in the UK, we're surrounded by American everything, American companies, American entertainment, American news, surrounded by it. So people will have their opinions from what they see from that. But I don't mean it's necessarily correct from when you actually go to America and see, like, they will expect that. To be fair, I was the same. So, like, before watching these videos and diving more into America, I was like, okay, I kind of got a rough idea what America was like. from like the movies and stuff like that.
And this stereotype is also linked to the next one, which is that Americans don't travel. And I have to say that this one is entirely not true. You've probably heard the myth that
10%.
only 10% of Americans have passports. Well, apparently this has not been true for over 20 years. And apparently 3/4 of Americans have visited at least another country.
Oh,
so
wow.
Americans are going abroad. They're just visiting fewer countries than us Europeans.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wait, I thought the stat was lower than that, to be fair. 76% have visited at least one other country. That's actually crazy to think about. Because America's that big, it's like a European going out of Europe for an American to leave America, right? The furthest I've been is in Europe, and that's 4 hours away on a plane. Going across America, plane journeys are probably longer than that, right? So America leaving America, that's like European leaving Europe, right? And a lot of Europeans haven't done that.
So Americans are going abroad. They're just visiting fewer countries than us Europeans. Roughly 1/4 of Americans have been to 5 or more countries. When in France, that number is 54%. And in smaller European countries like the Netherlands, it's 83%. And you know, that fully makes sense because there's two factors at play in international travel, which are basically how much money you have because flights and hotels are expensive, but also how close you are to another country. Like if we take the example of the...
Yeah, this thing about... I've never understood this thing about when people say that Americans don't travel, right? Like, look how big America is. And they're saying Netherlands, 83% have gone to another country. Of course, Netherlands is literally the size of probably the smallest state in America, right? And it's surrounded by other countries. So of course they're gonna leave. Do you know how easy it is for Netherlands to go to Germany or Belgium? And then there you go, that's another country visited, right? It's literally like going from a state to state in America. Probably smaller distance.
It's 83%. And you know, that fully makes sense because there's two factors at play in international travel, which are basically how much money you have because flights and hotels are expensive, but also how close you are to another country. Like if we take the example of the Netherlands, you could technically bike to Belgium. It's super close. Also in the US, flights tend to be pretty expensive because you're pretty far away from other countries. Yeah. Like your only neighbors are Canada and Mexico. And the US is so massive that a lot of people prefer to travel domestically. Like there's already so much to do in the US. Like the nature is very diverse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To be fair, from what I've seen in America, I probably wouldn't leave either. I'd probably just travel within America. Like you guys, from what I've seen, you guys have everything. You got good touristy, like relaxing kind of holiday styles. You can go skiing holiday styles, cabin holiday style. Like bro, you literally any style of like holiday that you want, you kind of got in America. The only thing you don't have is like, you know, like a different, completely different culture kind of style holiday. So like, for example, but then again, a lot of people from Europe haven't done that either. I'm talking about like Japan or, you know, anything like the Japanese culture is completely different, right? Even like, no, Australia is not. But you know what I'm on about. You know what I'm on about.
There's a lot of really cool regional cultures. And also things are very, very far away from each other. Like, for example, Barcelona in Spain is a very common weekend trip from where I grew up in France. It's roughly a 4-hour drive. In New York City, where I used to live, the same amount of...
To be fair, for Americans, Europe is probably a crazy different kind of culture. Because, like, Europe is, like, very, like, older buildings, more, like, history focused, like, with, like, Italy and the Colosseum and stuff like that, so...
Driving only got me to Italy in New York State, which is in a very beautiful region and has really nice nature, really cool hikes, but obviously it's not another country. And another stereotype I had before going to the US is that Americans don't speak any other languages than English. And this one is not entirely true. Like, the US is a country that has been built on immigration, and around 1 in 5 Americans speaks a different language at home. But even if you're not already bilingual, it's never too late to start learning a new language with today's partner, Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone is an immersive language learning app that uses
Hey, look, I ain't gonna lie.
You should click the link in the...
I ain't gonna lie. I really want to learn Spanish. I really do. I think either Spanish... I've always liked German. language for some reason. I like the accent with that. But I really want to learn Spanish. But I suck at learning languages. I really do. I've tried. I gave it a good couple of weeks and I can't remember one word.
Description below.
I got a bad memory.
This next one is a bit weird, but another thing I've been warned of before going to the US is medical expenses. Like, I've literally been told, be careful to not break a leg in the US. Otherwise, you'll be in debt. And, you know, given current events, it seems like a really big issue. But luckily for me, I haven't broken anything. And the only medical emergency I had while living in the US was an ear infection. And obviously, ear infections are not life-threatening. But if you've ever had one, it hurts so bad that you're ready to do anything to make it stop. And on my side, I went to an urgent care facility where I saw a doctor and it costed me $300. Luckily, my health insurance was very good at the time because I was working for a French company in the US. So I had to pay out of pocket and then I was reimbursed. But in the time it took for me to get reimbursed, I was very scared that my claim was going to be denied or that I would not be reimbursed in full. And to be honest, $300 is a lot of money for an ear infection. If we compare that to my most recent ear infection, and I have sensitive ears, which was in Paris, I had to pay $0 out of pocket. Like, they didn't even ask to see my credit card. They only needed my health insurance card. If I had to pay out of pocket, it would have been 25 euros, which is around $26. So it is very, very cheap to see a doctor in France. And it's pretty easy to get an appointment for everyday stuff. Obviously, our system is not perfect, but I feel it's a
France must be better healthcare than the UK then, because yeah, we got free healthcare in the UK, but I've been into this so many times. It takes so long to get an appointment. It really does. It takes so long to get an appointment. It just does.
I've never had any kind of medical stress in France. And obviously in the US, this stereotype varies quite a lot depending on your health insurance plan because it depends of your employer. And I've really seen both ends of the spectrum. Like, from people who didn't have dental and couldn't afford to get dental care, which really sucks. Like, it's so painful. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I've seen like stuff that's not very necessary being reimbursed. Like, recently I was talking with my friends about this clinic that gives you a Chanel goodie bag after you give birth. So yeah, not very necessary. I'd rather not pay $300 if I have an ear infection. But yeah, overall, I feel very grateful that I've always been super healthy. My family and all my loved ones have been very healthy. So I haven't tested extensively any medical system. And if you have and you want to share your experience, feel free to leave me a comment. Another thing I believe about the US is that people sue each other for no reason. All right, I know this one is a bit of a weird one, but from a European perspective.
Yo, this is because of the movies and the TV shows, man. Hey, honestly, I kind of think this as well. Like, do Americans just go around suing and like everyone?
It seems like the US is like the wild west of lawsuits. Like, just driving on the highway, you see a bunch of like personal injury lawyers. You have to sign release forms all the time. And you hear about those crazy viral lawsuits. And here I can't talk about that without talking about what happened to this poor old lady that had to be hospitalized for 8 days after spilling McDonald's coffee on her lap. Like, I've seen the picture, and what happened to this lady was really horrible. She had third-degree burns, and she decided to sue McDonald's to pay for her medical bills. That's just what she was asking for. The title of the New York Times documentary I watched about it sums it best: burned by hot coffee, then by the media. Like, she was painted by the news as just a dumb lawsuit that was fully useless. ABC News even called it the poster child of excessive lawsuits. And from a European perspective, that's just what I heard. I actually did.
Yo, bless her. No. Bro, that's actually uncalled for, man, because she was only suing for her medical bills to be paid for. She wasn't suing for extra money to have extra money pocketed. She, even if it was an accident, it's kind of just the right thing to do. She went to McDonald's, it must have been boiling hot to be 3rd-degree burns. Spilt it, boom. She's basically just asking, like, oh, you know, I can't afford the medical bills. You know, it kind of happened here. Can you pay? She wasn't like asking for anything else. No, I feel bad.
Didn't know what happened to this lady, and obviously hadn't seen the pictures, which are awful. So I feel this stereotypes comes from extreme cases that were very publicized, and in reality things are a bit more nuanced. Like, I feel suing for medical bills is totally understandable, and seriously, the very few people I know that have been involved in a lawsuit, it has been for a very good reason. Okay. I don't think suing people qualifies as an American hobby. I don't know, and I don't want to know. I'm not a lawyer. I've never...
Hey, let Let me know in the comments how many of you guys are sued.
Been involved in any lawsuits, and I intend for things to stay this way. Alright, so this is supposed to be a light video, and recently in my recommended, I've had a lot of videos of Italians trying Olive Garden. And you know, as you could expect, their reactions are not very good. They are very scared to go there. They don't really like the food. And overall, they find the experience very bland and inauthentic. And that's often how Europeans tend to perceive American food. And I have to admit that I did believe that before I visited the US, but luckily I was proven entirely wrong. The US is a massive...
Well, I don't know if it was like the sense of like, I believed every American ate fast food. I think it's just like Americans eat a lot of fast food because there's a lot of fast food everywhere, right?
Country with a very rich food culture that varies from state to state. And I have to say that this stereotype is absolutely untrue. I feel this bad image stems from the fact that our only contact with American food in Europe are the big fast food chains. Like, for example, I used to have a terrible image of fried chicken because I only knew about KFC and it didn't look really good to me. Like, I thought this was pure junk food and I was not really willing to try it. I usually don't really like big chains because I prefer to go to small shops. But a few years ago,
well, you guys know me. I'm the opposite, man. I like fast food. I like it a lot.
American boyfriend actually brought me to Atlanta, Georgia to go to one of the best fried chicken restaurants in the world. And there we actually met the chef who told us about the recipe that hasn't changed since 1945. And like they really put so much love and care into it. Like they marinate the chicken overnight. It's super juicy and tasty and they serve it with really delicious sides. And since then I've been such a big fan of fried chicken and Southern food in general. I even love chicken and waffles, which is another food that would send Europeans into a coma. But
yeah, chicken and waffles, it didn't sound right before, but after seeing it, I want it.
It's so good.
I want
it. And I feel that in general, the US does comfort food so well. And there are so many small businesses that are not owned by big corporations. And I feel you obviously shouldn't rule out American food just because you've seen McDonald's or KFC. Like, it's really my pet peeve when Europeans say the food is not tasty in the US, because not only there's really good American foods, but there's also food from all over the world. Like, for example, in New York, I've tried really authentic Malaysian food, Indian food, Indonesian food, and all of these foods, they're made very authentically. Like, they keep the recipes.
Wait, did I just label peanut butter was in there?
It's the same as at home, and they often import some spices or products. Stereotype number 8 is that people love to work. And obviously I'm French, so it comes to no surprise to you that people have a lot of vacation time in France. But that's one image I had of Americans. And I do feel this one is kind of true. Like, there is this always on mentality where people are always thinking about business or maybe building side hustles and always trying to make things happen. And obviously sometimes it's a necessity. Like,
more than 1 in 3 Americans earn money through side hustles. What? 32% think they'll always need them. Yo, I don't even know anybody in the UK that has a side hustle.
Like, people who have several jobs, they don't always do that because they love it. Like, they need to pay rent. But there is more of a focus in the US in having a side hustle, monetizing your passions. Whereas in France, I know a lot of people, for example, who are very good at a skill like art, but just do that in private and will never think of monetizing it. And this also ties up with stereotype number 9, which is that Americans are very optimistic and outgoing. And that's a thing that I had to adapt to in the US because it's not in my culture. But now I really love small talk. I love how positive people are. And I've already talked about it in the other video I made about the US, but that's something that makes daily life a bit nicer. And honestly, I feel like this outgoing energy is reflected everywhere, which leads me to my next stereotype that everything is big in the US.
Yep. I learned this very quick watching this video. Yo, America itself is absolutely massive. The portion size, massive. Bro, just huge, man.
European perspective is entirely true. The highways are massive.
Yeah,
the cars are very big. The portion sizes are massive.
Is that the
average
size?
Highways are massive. The cars are very big.
Car size. Damn, look at the truck, bro. European car. Yeah, this is a very standard car in Europe.
Big. The portion sizes are massive, although now I'm used to it and I really like it. And one thing that's for sure massive in the US is the distances. The US is such a big country, and recently I crossed it from New York to SF by train, and it took me 3 days. I also made a video about my thoughts, and I think you should watch it.
That's crazy.
I'll see you there.
What a good video though. Enjoyed that a lot. American Stereotypes. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe for more content. I do have 2 other channels you guys might not know about. Both are linked in the description. I got a gaming channel and I got another reacts channel where we do like body cams, funny videos, stuff like that. You guys will definitely enjoy it. Both are linked in the description. I'm also live every single day on twitch.tv/L3WG. If you guys want to check me out over there, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.